coming up.
Please don't tell me there's somewhere called Hooters.
You don't mean that, do you?
Some clients listen to that.
I suppose I didn't want to over-egg it. God knows I egged it enough.
You used on headphones as a really bad thing.
Well, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Roll back selector.
That's so strange, isn't it?
Oh, good grief.
A new motivation.
Back to the serious nature of the podcast. How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that? Hello and welcome to today's episode of How Do You Say That?
How do you say that?
How do you say that? Interrupting me
Sorry,
in
darling.
full flow. No. The podcast from BritishVoiceover.co.uk. Let me introduce, although he's introduced himself, quite frankly, let me introduce my co-host and my partner in crime, Mark Rice.
Hello.
And today's fun fact about Mark is he loves any cakes with frangipane in them.
I love Bakewell tart.
Yeah.
Just absolutely adore it, preferably with hot custard on.
Oh, no, you see, I like...
Oh, has that ruined it for you?
Yes, the hot custard. You lost me at hot custard.
Hey-ho. Well, my co-host is Sam Boffin, who has a variety of different wigs that she wears to parties. Now, if you know Sam's got the most beautiful red hair. So what kind of wigs do you have, Sam?
Well, they're usually those straight. You see, I've always really secretly wanted straight hair. I don't like my curly hair.
Really?
So secret. So I've got these various coloured wigs that are usually sort of short bobs. I've got pink.
Wow.
I've got ginger. I've got black. I've got blonde. And the weird thing about wigs is that once you put one on, nobody recognises you.
True.
It's extraordinary.
And of course, we also have a special guest this week who is Rik Scott. Rik, welcome.
Oh, thank you very much indeed.
And you join us from your studio in Eastbourne, I believe.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes. Welcome to the Sunshine Coast, God's waiting room.
Well, Rik, if you didn't know this already, is a very well-known commercial radio presenter, a voice artist and commercial promo producer. His love of radio began at 15 with hospital radio. What is it with you guys and hospital radio?
It's a good way in. It's a good way in.
It's a really good way in, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And he landed his first proper gig at Radio HMV in London.
Like so many people did, Rik, to be fair. You'll also have heard him on loads of different radio stations, including Children Group, Galaxy, 1170, Invicta FM, Southern FM, Power FM, many, many more as well. And over the last 10 years, he may have called you to voice a commercial for Media Sound Holdings. Plus, he's also a licensed amateur radio operator, married to Jack, and a doggy daddy as well. Do you have a fun fact to share apart from those three fun facts, Rik?
Yeah. During lockdown, I was researching the family tree. There wasn't an awful lot to do during lockdown, of course. And I found out, I traced it back to the 1300s.
Ooh.
Wow, that's a long way.
Yeah,
That's very good.
And that was the only long way about it, Sam, because I traced this back to 7 miles down the road in Helsham.
Wow.
No.
Yeah. We haven't moved very far, us lot.
How do you say that? Right, now, this is something that I have been working on this week. It talks about American children. I would have thought, well, who was I to say no? But I was quite surprised they wanted a British voice.
And they were very definite about wanting a Brit, were they?
Very definite about wanting a British voice. And they, although I didn't end up doing it like this, they did say at the beginning, we want a sort of Mary Poppins feel.
Right. That's actually relatively helpful.
It was helpful, and I did do them a Mary Poppins read, but I'm not sure that that's the one they went with. But yes.
Wouldn't it be lovely? Does that mean I can do my Dick Van Dyke read?
Oh please do your Dick Van Dyke read.
Maybe in the wild card. Who knows?
Maybe later.
So what genre would you put this in?
Well, this is corporate, but it is light touch corporate, I would say. It's definitely not an explainer. It's made for parents. And it's not e-learning either. So, yes, I would say
it kind of bridges the gap.
Yes. Go on then. Go. You go first,
All right,
Mark.
I'll go first then. All right, okay. The average American child spends 2.5 hours a day listening to music. That's nearly as much time as they spend in class each school year. And they're typically listening alone, on headphones. So if kids spend almost as much time listening to music as they do listening to their teachers, it raises the question, are rock stars educating your children?
Indeed. Are they? That's what I want to know.
I have no idea, but possibly so. I felt like I lost my way a little bit in the middle there.
I mean, I gave it a more knowing read than that.
Right.
A more sort of wink, wink, not nudge, nudge, wink, wink, but a more sort of, I suppose I did do that.
I realised I didn't do the first line correctly because you're saying American children to an American audience, whereas I said American children to an any other place in the world audience.
Ah.
I think. So rather than the average American child, I went the average American child.
Oh, I see, yes.
But
yes,
they already
you
know
dialed
they're
that up,
American.
But they already
Yeah,
know that, yes.
yeah.
They don't want to be amazed by the American
No,
aspect
indeed.
of that, yes. Okay, well.
What did you make of it, Rik?
Excellent read. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't fault it, Mark.
Now tell me what you really thought. I'll pay you later.
I'm wondering if Rik has sort of sussed the fact that he too will have a chance to be critiqued.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Had you felt that?
I mean, you can sit on the fence if you want.
Oh, I'm so Creosote Arse, you know. I'm sat on that fence.
That's fantastic. We've got
the title of this episode already. The one with the Creosote Arse.
we both recognised it for what it was. That's what I like about it.
We now kind of have an ear attuned to each episode that we record going, ooh, what's this one going to be called?
So Rik, I think it's your turn now.
Oh, Sam.
No.
You don't mean that, do
I
you?
do.
Okay, here we go. Gosh. The average American child spends 2.5 hours a day listening to music. That's nearly as much time as they spend in class each school year. And they're typically listening alone, on headphones. So, if kids spend almost as much time listening to music as they do listening to their teachers, it raises the question, are rock stars educating your children?
The timbre of your voice, Rik, is amazing.
I love it.
I love listening to it. That was a great read.
It was a really good
Thank you.
read.
You paused beautifully on headphones.
Yes.
Oh,
And
right.
I said, no, quite rightly, I think, because I went,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, as opposed to any other device that they might be listening on. So it raised that section to me, I thought.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a fascinating concept for me, listening to you guys critiquing the scripts like this.
As a commercial producer, though, Rik, you are used to going back to people and saying, that wasn't quite what I wanted there.
Yeah, I mean, you do get an idea in your head as to how you want things to sound, and I'm probably as guilty as the next person when I see a script and in my head I marry up the voice that I want to use on the script.
But I think a lot of
And going to
commercial
my
producers do that.
favourites, you know. Yeah. And knowing in my head exactly how he or she are going to deliver that read.
And that makes your job easier because you know what you're going to get when you ask them to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, there's also pressure, self-imposed pressure on me to also look for new talent as well, because I'm always very conscious that in a 3-minute ad break, the radio station is not going to want the same voiceovers coming around on each one, obviously, so.
Are you also trying to second guess what the client might want? Because presumably a lot of the time, do you write the scripts as well as...
I do write writing is not something I particularly like. Yeah, I think you're always trying to sort of, impress on the client that, this is going to work for you. I wouldn't tell you how to run your business, whatever that business is, but, listen to me, because I've been doing this for a while now.
And do you find some clients listen to that and some just rail push back against it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Or you get sent an example of how their friend has got had an idea, they had a chat over at a dinner party, and they came back with this thing and
Have you ever had, as the commercial producer, a client go, oh, and I really, really want my niece's voice on this one?
Yes. It wasn't a niece, though.
Or the managing director's voice, or my wife's voice. Yeah.
Managing director's son was a particular one, I remember. I won't name the client, obviously, or the station, but that was painful.
There's an advert running on a radio station in London. I won't name it, but it has the most horrible voice on it. it makes me switch station every time it comes on. Yeah. And I cannot imagine that it is a pro voice doing it because it sounds dreadful.
Yeah.
And it feels to me like a microphone bought off the internet during lockdown, and they have gone, it's my company, I'll do it. And I understand that sometimes commercials, if they niggle you, that's fine because you remember them. And let's face it, everyone remembers, I sold my car to We Buy Any Car. Can't sing, but yeah.
I had no idea that was you. That's incredible.
So, Sam, we haven't heard how you do it
yet.
No,
you didn't, did you? I thought we might have glossed over that.
No. We would love to hear you.
Okay. So this is how I did it. The average American child spends 2.5 hours a day listening to music. That's nearly as much time as they spend in class each school year. And they're typically listening alone, on headphones. So, if kids spend almost as much time listening to music as they do listening to their teachers, it raises the question, are rock stars educating your children?
Oh, you used on headphones as a really bad thing. It's like typically listening alone on headphones.
They could become voiceovers, you see. That's the danger. Yeah.
Well, I did channel my inner Mary Poppins there, and but it's meant to be presumably what it's saying is they're listening alone, and not only they're listening alone, you won't even hear it because it's on headphones, so you have no idea what's happening.
I see what you mean about the Mary Poppins. Not whole Mary Poppins, but I see what you mean. It kind of went down that route a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I mean by it was a kind of knowing read.
Yes.
I thought it was excellent. On the last bit, you didn't actually go up and ask the question, even though there is a question mark at the end of the...
Yeah. No, you did make it a statement, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, It was more implied.
Yes, implied question, yeah.
I didn't consciously do that, but yes, I suppose I didn't want to... I suppose I didn't want to over-egg it. God knows I egged it enough, but I didn't...
Well, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. You know?
Absolutely, very much. I kind of get, if they said the Mary Poppins thing to you, I fully understand why they booked you 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Because you give it that classic, beautiful British voice that is slightly prim, but doesn't have to be prim.
It's not always prim, but yes, absolutely.
How do you say that?
It's worthwhile remembering that these are real scripts that we've been working on, but we have changed the names and some details to avoid copyright issues.
So now we have Rik's script. So, Rik, tell us about your script that you brought with us.
A lot of the time, as an image voice, I do a lot of promos.
Just explain to people, if they don't know, what an image voice is, because I think the three of us have all done it, but if there are voiceovers out there that don't know what an image voice is...
Yeah, so because of my radio background as a presenter, I guess probably over the years I've been kind of pigeonholed as an imaging voice for radio. So identifying the radio station, the frequency, those DJ names.
Hooters 107.9.
That's right.
No, please don't tell me there's somewhere called Hooters.
I bet there is.
I'm so Googling that later, I'll tell you.
It's a very special kind of a radio station.
Back to what we were talking about.
Yes. Back to the serious nature of the podcast, yes.
That's right. So, imaging voices and, I suppose the one I'm probably at the moment most well known for is because it's taking over the world, is Greatest Hits Radio. So I'm Dawn French's husband.
Are you?
Hits Radio.
So you've been spending a lot of time going, Ken Bruce, April the 3rd.
That's right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be doing Ken Bruce's liners. Or indeed, for the other jocks on there as well, Simon Mayo.
Wow. I'm really sad because I hadn't recognised that was you. And so that's a massive penny drop moment for me because I listen to a lot of Greatest Hits Radio.
Yeah, so it's obviously something that I do quite a bit. So I thought I would bring you this one. This is for a local station down here in Sussex, Ashdown Radio. The programme controller for that is an old friend of mine who used to work at Sovereign Radio in Eastbourne. His name's Ryan. He hasn't been very well over the last 5-6 years. In fact, St Wilfrid's Hospice have given him a lot of support, and this promo is for a music event down here, and they support St Wilfrid's Hospice, and so they're mentioned in the promo.
Will you give us the link to St Wilfrid's Hospice so that we can put it in the notes, and then if people want to support the charity, then that's great. That would be lovely.
That'd be lovely.
Because it's lovely. Because funny enough, when I read this, that was my favourite bit of the whole promo. I thought, gosh, that's such a wonderful way to end it. I just really loved that line.
I've got a few questions for you, if that's allowed. Is it Chidfest?
It is Chidfest.
Chidfest and Chiddingly.
Chiddingly. Yeah.
Chiddingly.
I'm glad you asked that.
I would have got that wrong.
A lot of the time I forget to put in local pronunciations is really important for a producer to provide, the voiceover with.
I mean, it's a toss of a coin moment here. Which of us would you like to go first?
I'm intrigued. And don't take this personally, Mark, but I'm intrigued to hear Sam voice this.
Well, yes,
so am I.
I have to say this is not my comfort zone at all.
I know that, and that's why I want to hear you.
And so it's one of those ones I looked at and I thought, gosh, wow, a lovely script, but I wonder what I'll bring to it. To be perfectly honest, yes, let's have a little go.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the biggest music festivals in Sussex is back for the summer of 2023. Ashdown Radio proudly presents Chidfest on the weekend of the 21st to 23rd July at Nash Street, Chiddingly. Appearing live on stage, the Hoosiers, East 17, Black Box, Lamar, Fats and Small, The Real Thing, and Dario G. For the full lineup and ticket information, visit... Do you know, I was put off there because I suddenly realised I went Chiddingly.
I wondered if you'd noticed that.
I suddenly thought, that's so strange, isn't it? Anyway, I would go back, but I'm not going to. But anyway, so for the full lineup and ticket information, visit chidfestchapter.co.uk. Chidfest 2023, supporting St Wilfrid's Hospice in Eastbourne with Ashdown Radio.
Lovely.
It was lovely, but...
Lovely, but not right.
No, the only thing I'm going to say is, you know that lots and lots of people over the last few weeks, Sam, have been saying, "Oh, Mark, you go in way too hard, but Sam, you're just soft and lovely enough for that."
I know, and that's
Whereas
why
this needs to be harder, I think.
Exactly, and that's it. Really is horses for courses, and people
Totally.
One doesn't do everything.
No.
So I've done radio ads, but not like this. And so, and it's so interesting because you can get crushed quite easily thinking, oh God, I can't do that. So I can't do anything. But actually that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's not I could probably learn to do it. I'm not sure. Anyway, but I know exactly what you mean, Mark. Yeah.
I tell you what, in the wild card, I'm interested to see if you could do that in a character as much harder. I don't know, but we might come to that. We might come to that in a bit. That's the thing. Shall I have a go?
Interesting.
Go for it.
Yes, please do.
One of the biggest music festivals in Sussex is back for the summer of 2023. Ashdown Radio proudly presents Chidfest on the week of the 21st to 23rd of July at Nash Street, Chiddingly. Appearing live on stage, the Hoosiers, East 17, Black Box, Lamar, Fats and Small, The Real Thing, and Dario G. For the full lineup and ticket information, visit chidfestchapter.co.uk. Chidfest 2023, supporting St Wilfrid's Hospice in... wow.
What a great sound effect that was.
I know.
Yeah.
Chidfest 2023, supporting St Wilfrid's Hospice in Eastbourne with Ashdown Radio.
That was like one of those rollback selector.
It was amazing, that sound effect.
I fell over my own spittle.
Oh, come on. That we've got a subtitle now.
We have got a subtitle, exactly. That's how I would approach it, but you might think that's a bit hard anyway.
Well, you see how fascinating is that? That was like chalk and cheese, R2 reads on that. I mean, I think, you've got much more form in doing this.
I do more of these, yeah.
I mean, just like chalk and cheese. Was it not? Be honest, Rik. You would have been looking more for a Mark than a Sam in this instance,
Yes.
I suspect.
Yes, I think so.
Well, I'm very crushed.
But I wonder, Rik, if your read goes somewhere between the two.
Yeah,
whether I was too
probably
hard.
not quite as hard as you.
Yeah, I did go in quite hard. It's my butch energy again. What can I tell you?
Yeah, I know, exactly. You're cranked up to 11, mate.
Yeah, totally. Maybe even 11 and a half on that one.
Possibly.
Oh dear. Right, well, let's see how the master does it then, shall we?
Oh, good grief. Here we go. One of the biggest music festivals in Sussex is back for the summer of 2023. Ashdown Radio proudly presents Chidfest on the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd of July at Nash Street, Chiddingly. Appearing live on stage, the Hoosiers, East 17, Black Box, Lamar, Fats and Small, The Real Thing, and Dario G. For the full lineup and ticket information, visit chidfestchapter.co.uk. Chidfest 2023, supporting St Wilfrid's Hospice in Eastbourne with Ashdown Radio.
Love it.
Wow.
Love it. And I loved the first line
The
for me, Sam. It was like,
biggest.
the biggest. And
That
then
was
is
just like,
back.
wow.
It's like, amazing.
That was, again, you're right, absolutely right, completely different again. So extraordinary. And wow, what a voice. What a deep down there voice you've got. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Is that all you? Is that all you and
Yeah.
no
No,
playing around at all?
That's a TLM 103 that we got in here.
And that's how you come out raw?
Yeah, and that, yes, it's
Wow.
not processed because, all the processing should be done.
Of course.
Yes.
I use waves.
You've got one of those joyous voices that sounds processed already.
Wow. Yeah, amazing.
Thank you.
Well, I don't think the wild card is going to be able to top that. So
Let's see.
And now we've got the moment we all love. It's the wild card bit. So we're going to do a wild card. So let's see if we can approach these scripts in a completely different way. So, Rik, guests go first. Can you pick one of the scripts and, give one of us a new motivation?
Well, okay, so I've got to go with a terms and conditions. Has anyone picked that before?
Oh no, that's interesting. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're going to go for your home is at risk if you do not keep up repayments on a mortgage or other loans,
Yes, okay,
etc.
yes, okay.
All right, but let's do it in Sam's script.
Okay, which one of us do you want us to do?
I
Mark
want to
or Sam?
let's go for Mark. Go on.
Oh. Okay. The average American child spends 2.5 hours a day listening to music. That's nearly as much time as they spend in class each school year. And they're typically listening alone on headphones. So if kids spend almost as much time listening to music as they do listening to their teachers, it raises the question, are rock stars educating your children?
Yay!
Oh, well done.
Well done.
Difficult to keep that pace, isn't it?
Difficult. It's really difficult.
I feel really horrible for picking that genre.
Oh,
Sorry.
Rik, I wouldn't worry because, you've got to do a wild card in a moment as well.
Yes.
When you do terms and conditions pieces in commercials, it's normally written in that way and you know almost exactly what you're going to be saying.
Yes.
And so those patterns are already in your head.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And to sustain it over that length of scripts as well, I think it's
Which is why it was so cruel of me, and I do apologise.
It's going to be Sam picking it for you, Rik.
Yes, because
Okay.
somebody else has got to pick me. So yes, so I would love you to do. Oh, actually, I'd love you to do your script.
Yeah, all right.
But in a teenage romance style.
Ow. That's tough.
Well, let's give you a character here. As if you're a teenage boy talking to another teenager that you want to ask out. Teenage romance.
So, one of the biggest music festivals in Sussex is back for the summer of 2023. I wondered if you fancy going? Ashdown Radio are proudly presenting Chidfest on the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd of July at Nash Street, Chiddingly, appearing live on stage. I haven't got a clue who this lot are because they're from the 80s. But anyway, it'll be dark and loud and we can have a snog. The Hoosiers, E17, Black Box, the E17, from the Christmas videos with the big coats and hoods. Black Box, Lamar, Fats and Small, The Real Thing. I know, the 70s, like When, and Dario G. And I Think I Love You.
That was brilliant. I was right in that character, Rik.
I'm a 52-year-old man, for heaven's sake.
You modulated your voice brilliantly, though. It's
it
like,
was
I mean,
so good. That awkward teenage
whilst
angst.
I'm not sure people will be booking you for the 18-year-old sound, the characterisation was great. Was really
That's the
great.
thing, isn't it? Yeah. So you got under the skin of that teenager.
You really did.
Loved it.
You really did. But as soon as you went in with one of the biggest music festivals in Sussex, it was like it was really conversational. I could picture the person in front of you.
I was looking into her eyes, you know. It was going to be a great night.
And did she go? Do you
Of course
think?
not.
You know, in your mind,
She went
did
off
she
with
come?
my bigger, better looking bloke, you know, my mate, you know.
No. Oh, no.
Way.
Always happens.
Always
surprised me.
happens.
How do you say that?
So, Sam, one for you, and this is one I've been thinking about because I figure with the Chid Fest, but a completely different character, so you can probably go a bit harder. I want you to go nasty witch Halloween character.
Oh, okay.
One of the biggest music festivals in Sussex is back for the summer of 2023. Ashdown Radio proudly presents Chid Fest on the weekend of the 21st to 23rd July at Nash Street, Chiddingly. Appearing live on stage, the Hoosiers, East 17, Black Box, Lamar, Fats and Small, The Real Thing, and Dario G. For the full lineup and ticket information, visit chidfestchapter.co.uk.
Ow. I'm scared. I think we'll leave it there because I'm terrified right now. I'm terrified.
I
That
did
was
get
great.
Chiddingly. I was.
Oh, you did? Yeah, Chiddingly was good.
But do you see what we said right at the beginning? You said by giving it a character, you went in really hard, and then. But if you were then asked to go back and do that script as Sam,
Yes.
you could take some of the hardness of that and put it in that script. Do you see what I mean?
To a certain extent, it's a learnt thing, isn't it? We learn to do different styles. But it is interesting.
We also really want to hear your take on it. So we've put the scripts in the show notes, and if you'd like to have a try at one of them, send it on MP3 to podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk. That would be great. We can pick one or two to play in an upcoming episode, perhaps.
And yes, as well as your MP3s, please do send them in. If you've got any voiceover questions you'd like answers to, you can send your question for future episodes to podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk.
Well, our question this week, it's apposite that we've got a producer in with us and someone that does a lot of producing, because the question this week is line reads. Are they ever acceptable? So, Rik, would you ever, if you got a voiceover that you thought didn't really know what they were doing and you had a very clear idea, would you ever do a line read for them to copy?
I have done. Yeah. I think on the flip side of that, as a voiceover, I'm more than happy if a producer has another way of saying it. Embrace it because then you can remember that particular read for a future time. I think, like you said, it's all part of the learning process.
I wonder if Sam's on the opposite side of that argument.
Actually, funny enough, I'm not only because, in certain circumstances, it can be really difficult to give a line read if you're looking for a particular kind of a read. Funny enough, I would be far more inclined to give somebody a line read if I knew them well, because you can do that with quite a light touch. I think you can go, you know what I mean? But when you're up against it, when the chips are down, and when all you really wanted them to do was
X, Y, and
emphasise
Z.
a certain word, and that's what you
yeah.
wanted them to do. Pussyfooting around is just wasting everybody's time when it could be such an easy thing. Having said that, yes, there are lots and lots of other things, other ways of getting stuff out, but that's assuming that you have the time. And actually, with radio scripts in particular, you are really up against it. Actually, and which is why, of course, you people hire very experienced voiceovers to do them.
I'm kind of falling between the two of you. I sometimes like a line read and I sometimes don't like a line read. I kind of like to be given the opportunity to do my own read, and then if it's not what they were thinking, they can do that. Rather than that, I wouldn't necessarily want them to come in with a line read going, I want it like this and I want it like this now.
Oh,
No, that's a nightmare.
I don't think that's the way to do it. But if I'm being offered something that they've got in their head and they can portray that for me in a line read, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think if you've explored, lots of other avenues and you're still not getting anywhere, then there are times where you have to go, just for safety, why don't we do one where...
That's exactly right. But in the same way as if you've had a very directed session, but you know that you've got a better way or a different way of doing it, you should always ask to do just one more, whether they use it or not.
Yes, perhaps, if you've got the time.
Oh, exactly.
Yes. So, Rik, thank you so much.
No,
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, because I had a horrible feeling that you thought I was Rik Scott, the governor of Florida. Thank you so much for...
Is that not?
Yes, thank you so much for actually meaning to invite me. Very kind of you, thank you.
Well, we'll be putting all of today's scripts in the show notes so that you can have a read yourself. And please have a go and send it to us at podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk. We would love to hear what you do with them.
And of course, it's the same email address for your voiceover questions too.
So please like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, tell your VO mates, reshare our Facebook post. Oh, we would love a review. If you would be kind enough to write a review, that would be great.
We always love a review. And that is it for this week. That wonderful one with Rik Scott. But of course, we will be back again next week with more scripts when we'll be asking, all together now, how do you
say that?
It's always so slow.
How do you say that?